What's good, ladies and gentlemen? Another episode of the FLi Report with your man Marlon A Greer. Today we got a very special guest. We got my brother right here, man. My man Aaron Barnette. And I wanted to bring Aaron on because we got a lot of kids in New York City, all over the country, actually sitting home now, and different times. So I want to bring an educator on, somebody who's on the front line, a real hero. Aaron, thank you for joining the FLi Report.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you for having me, brother. You know, we go back many, many years.
Come on, man.
Been in this fight together many years, and it's an honor to be on your show, man. And thank you so much for bringing light to this issue. You know, as you said, there's so many young people at home now dealing with this crisis, and they're home with their parents.
Right,
and
right.
It's a lot to navigate. It's a lot to navigate for educators. So I appreciate you bringing this to light. And let me ask you, brother. I see that shirt over there. Put
yeah.
Down a little bit. Is that King Tut that you got on your shirt?
Yeah.
Put the camera down a little bit.
You know what? Okay, all right, no doubt, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, good looking, my dude. Yeah, as a matter of fact, I want to give the brother Mike Cherry a shout out. Yeah. He's a great kind of man. He's been in the game for a long time. Yo, I wore this shirt like 4 times. Every time I wear it, like people stop me. Yo, I've never worn it and not got a comment. Thanks a lot, my dude.
Yeah. It looked like the cover from It Was Written.
Right, exactly. No doubt. That's another thing too. Nas, you know what I mean? So
yeah.
that's a good thing right there. Yeah, but yeah, he's a good brother, man.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Shout out Mike again. Yeah, man, but like I said, I wanted to have you on because you know what I do. I run around and everything, a lot of stuff in the entertainment industry. And sometimes, you get jaded until like what's really important, and I always keep that sense, we do a lot of the youth and everything like that. We got to pay it forward and always give back. But I want to really talk about real issues. Like, we're going through something that's never happened before in history. Everybody's nervous, people just don't know where to turn. Like I said, it's so many kids home now. Everyone's home. Well, like, what would you tell kids at a time now that they're home?
It's the first thing that I would say to both kids and adults is,
right.
Now is the time to really kind of slow down, reflect, and reconnect with your families, right? With so much going on and so much life being lost. I know with being home, there's a focus on distance learning. But right now, it being such a sensitive time for so many young people, you have young people that are losing their graduations. Right. And it's interesting because people talk about high school graduation, but you got middle school graduation as well, right?
Right.
You have young people that are losing out, losing out on things from school, from the school side. Then you have young people that are dealing with issues with their families. They might be losing loved ones. So this is really a time, I think, for families to really kind of lock in, engage with each other, appreciate each other. We're quarantined, right, with one another over this time until this crisis passes. So what I would say, the number one piece of advice that I would give to families is really use this time to reconnect with one another, appreciate one another, love one another, and try to accentuate the positive as much as possible. I know it's a lot going on and it's easier to say that than to actually do it. But I think that's so important. When we talk about our kids being at home, often, when school is in session, kids will get up and they'll go to school and they're around their teachers, let's say 8 hours a day. So now you have to replace that 8 hours with them being at home. And so the question often comes up with, well, what do you do? What is the best way to engage our kids while they're at home? So again, brother, thank you for having me on because again, there are a few strategies that I like to share that we're actually utilizing across, some of the schools that we work with in terms of just engaging young men and just keeping them locked in and calm during this time of crisis.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point that you made, for the young men. I know that's primarily your focus, you know,
Yeah.
but for young ladies as well, to just utilize their idle time. And
Yes.
great what you was talking about as far as families reconnecting. I know even in my own house,
Mhm.
you have to really set aside time specifically to build and share experiences, because if you don't set aside that time, it's like life just passes you by, because I'm working, the kids are going to school, they're doing their things, they have their interests, so we have to be like, hey, you know what, this Friday, Saturday, or what have you, when whatever
Mhm.
time works for us, we're going to do this, where we just specifically get into each other. Another thing that I'm seeing too, like as far as child abuse,
Mm.
domestic abuse, that's another thing. But now we're pretty much talking about the children. The cases, hotlines is ringing off the hook for
Yeah.
child abuse. So just like what you're saying, like people don't know how to utilize their time, their stress, and unfortunately, a lot of people take out those negative emotions on their children. What would you tell some parents on what to do to like de-escalate?
Yeah, yeah. Well, the first thing that I would say, kind of going back to my original point about uh, students are now home instead of going to school. I think as parents, what's important is we have to understand that we have to be a role model, and,
Right,
and,
right,
and even how we interpret and deal with this COVID crisis, as stressful as it might be, we have to understand as parents, and I have two children of my own, right? I have a 22-year-old son, a 16-year-old daughter.
no,
And as crazy as it may seem to us, we have to understand that it's probably even crazier for them.
right,
Um, so we have to be a role model always, and even our view with this crisis. We have to make sure that we talk to our children about this crisis, right? Don't let the news simply educate our kids about what's going on. I think what's very important is for parents to really stress the kids that, there's a way out of this. This is not going to last forever, right? This is a time of resilience, of stick to itiveness, if you will, right? Just your ability to maintain strong and focused during a difficult time. And so parents have to really make sure that they sit down and process with their kids how they are feeling. That's a real feeling for the young people that I deal with, right? The fact that they are not experiencing their prom, their graduation,
huge,
you
huge,
without the proper processing of that, young people can feel cheated. They can
right,
almost feel like, what's the point of doing
right,
this? So
right,
as adults, right, we have to always let them know that, there have been crises before. This is another crisis that has come about, and we will survive this. This might be a good time for parents to even share with their kids a difficult time that they went through prior to this COVID crisis,
right,
just to illustrate to
right,
their kids that there's always light at the end of the tunnel. I think that's what's very, very important is for young people to stay encouraged, to stay motivated, and it starts with the parent. If the
yeah,
parent kind of exhibits any level of stress or anxiety, unfortunately, sometimes kids will take ownership of that, and they'll feel like they are to blame for that feeling that their parents are having. So those conversations, sitting down, separate from schoolwork, as parents, you know,
right.
uh, sometimes talking about school is the easy way in. Right? I'll call my daughter, and that's the first thing I'll say to her is, "Well, how'd your school day go? How's things going?"
Right.
And I
That's
think
the
with
icebreaker.
that's the icebreaker, right? But I think with the current times we're in as parents, the first thing we have to lead in with is, how are you doing? Forget school for a minute. How are you processing what's going on? What we see on the news. How are you processing what's going on in the world? Right? Like the reality is this COVID crisis has touched every one of us. I can't name a person who doesn't know someone who has been
Right,
impacted by this.
right.
And,
So true, so
and
true.
for us to think that our kids are exempt would be negligent on our part. I told you I work with a lot of young men,
Right.
and a lot of them have told me how they've lost grandparents. They have friends who've lost family members or friends. You have teachers that are passing away.
Right,
So to
right,
go through this and not give young people a platform to talk
right,
about these things could be detrimental.
right.
And we have to provide a platform for young people to express how they feel.
Yeah, so true, so true, bro. And that's one of like you're a juggernaut. Like for the people that's out there that don't know about Mr. Barnette, like do your homework with Aaron Barnette and the great work that he does with like so many schools throughout the country. I was going to say the city, but I miss if I forgot about your work in California. All these other places. You guys travel to, but you hit a great point about too getting to talking to your kids. But one thing I see is like the utilization of time.
Mm.
And for some reason, like people don't know what to do with their time. So
Yeah.
things of that nature, those things are things that we do, but that doesn't define you. So I think it's a great time to also look into other things to keep yourself busy. Think about maybe some other talents or some other projects that you wanted to work on, things you wanted to do that you never just quite had time to get off the ground.
Absolutely.
But what are some things that the families can do together that you think around this time, like after as far as, because I know you do a lot with mentors and mentees too, and that's important. I know we did a lot of events together, sending kids to different sporting events and just different socialization aspects. But now we're all in the house, so would you suggest this may be a point of reference that someone can look at of what they can do to really appreciate each other's time?
Yeah, well, it's interesting that you say that, right? Because, often spending time with each other, I think, is the most valuable thing that you can do, right? And just have a listening ear. Often with our busy schedules, if we're lucky, we can eat dinner with our families, right? But now with us being in the house, we have the luxury of eating multiple meals with our families, right? So that would be the first thing that I would suggest is schedule meals with the family where you are all sitting down together. The TV is not on. During this time that being home, it's very easy to get caught up in the fact that you're home. So one piece of that I would have for the young people as well as parents is establish a schedule that is very similar to what you would do if you went to school. So that means you get up in the morning, you take a shower, you get dressed, you eat breakfast, you do all of those normal routine things that you would do on any typical day that would make the day go further. Do not sleep until 11 o'clock, right? Don't go out of bed and just keep the same things on, right? Those things I think, will help with the monotony of being inside. I think, a big challenge for young people is being away from their friends, right? Being away from their friends, right? So leveraging technology, right? To the best of our abilities is also a positive way to keep kids and families engaged, right? Schedule a Zoom call with some family members that you don't get a chance to see on a regular basis. Use this time to have your kids connect with grandparents or an aunt that lives in another state, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think another great way, right, to utilize this time for young people and families is to exercise together. When we look at the impact of COVID and what it's having on our community, the one thing that we can see is that there are underlying factors that a disease like COVID can come in and really, really impact based upon those factors, right? So when we talk about high levels of diabetes, high levels of high blood pressure, right? Obesity, right? Those things. Now, there are other factors in our community that lead to that, right? But I think one of the things that we can do as a result of this is come out stronger. Develop an exercise routine with your family, right? Even if it's something little, right? That you're kind of doing calisthenics in the living room with everybody, make a game out of it, right? But getting everybody active and active as a unit is, I think, something that can be very beneficial to the family unit. Because the one thing that we have to understand about this is this whole incident is, we've been knocked down, but we have to get up, right? Now, getting up is a choice, right? A person can choose not to get up.
So true.
But what's very important is that our kids, as well as to our parents, is that you have to get up. But the question is, not only are you going to get up, but how are you going to get up?
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to get up stronger? Are you going to get up wiser? Are you going to get up sharper? Right? There are a lot of resources you can find online where parents can sit down and talk to their kids about financial awareness. They can talk to them about the importance of being physically fit and maintaining your physical health. There
Right.
are things that they can sit down and talk to their kids about that are non-academic related. You know, it's interesting, right? Because we talk about this distance learning and where kids focus in on math, science, English, social studies, the disciplines that they teach in school. But there's so many other areas, the things that our kids need instruction on that can come directly from the parents.
Right.
Right?
It's so true.
Um, and
And
again, we talk about those life skills, right? How many, you know, it's interesting. My mom, when I was younger, right, my mom taught me how to sew a rip on my shirt, right? She taught me how to make a grilled cheese sandwich and make spaghetti so I could fend for myself.
right,
These
right,
are all things that parents can teach their kids during this time, and these
right.
are all things that I highly suggest that they use this time to impart that wisdom on their children.
You know, that's a great point, Aaron, because, you know, a lot of times parents, I think they get confused with their role. And it's not drill sergeant, it's not
Right.
dishing out directions and instructions all day, or you better do this, or and it's a penalty or consequence attached. You know, I learn from my kids just as much as they learn from me. You know,
Yeah.
all students and teachers at the same time, depending on who we talking to or what we talking about. You know,
Hmm.
like everything that you're talking about because it's actually a positive dialogue with the kids, not at the kids.
Yes.
You
Yes.
see? And that is the difference that I think a lot of like educators, parents, people in general that deal with the youth, like no
Yes.
one knows it all.
Right. 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 Yeah.
I
It's
mean,
a two-way
really,
street.
to be honest, this is a young person's world with an older person's wisdom.
Yes. Yes. Well, it's funny you say that because
Yeah,
so what I'm finding now, right, is that
right.
online learning has begun, and parents are often struggling with the content, right? A
Mhm, mhm.
child may
Yeah,
come to you and they might ask a question about a subject, and you
right.
might not know that,
Right.
right?
Yeah, the work. Some of this work is very intimidating. You
It
know.
is. It is. It is. But what a parent can do is a parent can actually be a resource broker for their child. So
Mhm.
though you
Okay.
may not know the content itself,
Right.
what you can do is direct your child to the source where they can get their information from. Right?
Mhm.
You can be an advocate for your child, right? Staying in contact with teachers, right?
Right.
Speaking to your child to find out what it is that they need and what is it the best way that you can provide assistance to them. So I don't want parents to feel like, well, I'm not a teacher, so that doesn't mean that I can't assist my son or daughter with academic issues. Because what you can do is you can be a resource broker. You can point them in the direction of the resource that can answer their question for
Right.
them.
Right.
Like for
Exactly.
example, when we talk about a platform like say Khan Academy,
Mhm.
Khan Academy is a platform where students can go online, right, and basically ask questions um, in different subject areas, right, and
Right.
the program itself will provide some context and further explanation if the student doesn't completely understand. I don't necessarily have to have thorough knowledge about math or trigonometry to point a young person in that direction.
Right. Right. Definitely. That's so true. So, resource broker.
Hmm.
Just in general, I think the overview of what you're saying is just for parents to be attentive. You know,
Yes.
their children needs and be proactive about it. And a lot of the parents too. I see in general. I know it's rough on a lot of people working and everything like that, but it's hard. You want to stay out the reactionary phase.
Hmm.
And you always reacted to everything that happens, but to the antithesis of that, you want to be proactive and you
Absolutely.
want to dictate. So that's why I really enjoyed what you said about having a schedule and maintaining some routine, and
Oh yeah.
because it's interesting too, when you look good, you feel better. Actually, so
Right,
actually
right,
take a
right, right.
shower, brush your teeth, stay groomed. That's super important.
Absolutely.
No
Yeah, yeah.
doubt.
And the
So,
last thing I would even say,
yeah.
and the last thing I would say to parents is this: those of us that are working from home, we'll have a day full of scheduled meetings that we have to tend to. Don't be so busy that you aren't checking in with your kids, right? And maybe
Right.
it's those meal times that where you're checking in. How's your day going? You know, we have to, as parents, we have to understand that our kids have a vast network of their own. So don't just ask them, how their day is going. Ask them about their friends.
Right,
Ask
right. Yeah, definitely.
them have had family members who have passed away or who are sick as a result of this. Let them know that you actually care, right, about what's going on in their life. And the more that you do that, I think the more that they'll open up. I think the more
Yeah.
that they'll understand it's a two-way street. It's not you just talking at them, it's you're talking with them. And
Yes,
so that
sir.
your relationship can grow as a result.
Yeah, no doubt. So I mean, that's definitely, man. But again, that's definitely great advice, rather. But I want to tip my hat off to you. I want to tip my hat off to teachers, principals, assistant principals, parent coordinators, guidance counselors, the people
Parent,
in the lunchroom,
yes.
janitorial services, the whole.
School safety staff.
Oh yeah, definitely school safety. I mean everything, because I think people now, a lot of times people get jaded, and I even see them saying now, "Oh, forget basketball players and actors and actresses. It's the doctors, lawyers, and nurses." But it's always been them.
Yes.
Everybody. So that's
Right.
what everyone has to get a chance to see, when that's what we're about. When it's your time to shine, you step up. So everybody's a star.
Yeah.
Everybody's a celebrity. And it's about being a star in your role, whatever
Yes.
that role may be. Just doing
Yes.
the best of your ability. But I'm just happy that the educators, the hospital workers, doctors, the whole nine, fire. I mean, just the delivery people. There's so many people that's really, running America right now.
Yes. Yes. It's
On the
interesting.
line.
I'm glad you mentioned that because, of course, my hat goes off to the medical workers, to those that are in those essential positions where they have to be outside of the house. But I think one thing that gets overlooked is the role that educators play. Because this whole distance learning platform and idea of teaching through the computer,
Right.
a lot of educators had to pivot quickly.
On the fly. Yeah.
And what we have to understand is that these educators are staying connected to young people. They are providing them not only the academic support, but the social emotional support that so many of them need, even more than they need their academics at this point in time. And what they're doing is they're responding to a need. And so I'm glad you mentioned that, because my hat goes off. I know here in New York City, there have been some educators who lost their lives
Right.
as a
Right.
result of this, right?
Rough.
During yeah, yeah, and so my hat goes off again to all of the educators that I personally know and all across the country for continuing to keep young people engaged, for keeping them motivated, for keeping them positive, for keeping them, with the mindset that we will come out of this. I know there are a lot of schools that are making provisions around, there not being a prom, and there might be a virtual prom and a virtual graduation. And I know some schools are thinking about scheduling graduations in the summer. And I
Right.
applaud these schools, right? Because what they're doing is they're considering the feelings of their students.
Right.
The one thing as educators that we cannot forget is that our students are our number one customers and clients, our students and our parents, right?
Right.
We work for them. Those of us that work in public education, we work for them. And
Right.
so I applaud all the educators that are doing their part to make sure that all of the families and all of the students are getting whatever it is that they need during this time to stay focused and stay positive.
No doubt, brother. So I mean, so you gave some real time examples. Got a lot of people watching and everything like that. You gave some real time examples on practical things, and that's what we want to do on the FLi Report. We want someone to watch this and be able to impact their life immediately, because this is people that's focused and living their lives intelligently,
Yes.
living on purpose, deliberately, not living the fault, taking wherever the wind blows, that's where they end up.
Right.
You purposely plan, where you're going to end up. Otherwise, you'll be anywhere.
Absolutely. Absolutely,
You know
brother.
So, brother, man, always a pleasure talking to you. You my cool fan. We got a lot of years under our belt, man. And I
30
just
years, brother.
want to crazy, man, crazy.
Yes. Yes.
But I want to pay homage to you, man, and really thank you publicly on this platform about all the great work that you do. And you're so passionate, you're changing lives out there, man, on a daily basis. And I just want to thank you for being committed and a soldier, for our young people.
Thank you, brother. I really, really appreciate that. And again, the admiration is mutual. A lot of people are putting out videos and information for the public. And I appreciate you putting out information that's beneficial to the public. That's going to keep people uplifted. That's going to keep people positive and focused on whatever the goal they have for themselves, man. So, you keep doing what you're doing, brother. You keep wearing fly shirts like that.
Right, thank you, Rob.
Yeah. And thank you again for having me, brother. Thank you.
Yeah, man, that was my man, Aaron Barnette right there. That's my brother. So he dropped a lot of jewels, a lot of nuggets on y'all. So, if you don't impart what he says, if you don't practice it, it's like you never heard it. So definitely, put your best foot forward and practice some of the things that he said. So thank you again for coming down to the FLi Report with your man, Marlon A Greer. Remember, it's never too late to be the person you thought you should have been. Peace.